Hello, guys and girls. I have very special guest today. It's Dan, and Dan is not only matchmaker, less matchmaker. Dan is coach for nice guys.
Yeah, the invisible nice guy. The 80% of guys that get absolutely no attention from women.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Majority of men are invisible to women, and so I help with those guys. I teach them how to do the things that bad boys do without the abuse in order to actually get the attention of women.
Where is the difference between good, nice guys and bad guys? What is the main difference between them?
Well, the main difference is that bad boys tend to create attraction in women, and nice guys are near incapable of it unless they're extremely lucky. That's why they call it going out to get lucky, because generally speaking, for a guy to hook up with a woman or meet a woman, he's got to get very lucky. Whereas a woman just has to go out and choose which one she likes the best. So, in order to get noticed, he has to do the things that bad boys do that can attract women. The problem is that with bad boys, generally comes with a lot of abuse and problems. Bad boys tend to be sexually appealing to women, attractive. Many women like them. They know how to make women feel emotions, but oftentimes they're narcissistic. Sometimes they're sociopathic. They're very selfish, arrogant. So these are a lot of things that make them incapable of long-term relationships, but highly sexual arousing for a short-term relationship. So I like to see it like when women are seeking relationships, you can either eat the ice cream or you can eat the broccoli. That's usually the options that women have. That's the difficulty they have, right? So the ice cream, it's delicious. Oh, you feel so good when you eat it, but then you feel sick after eating like a half gallon of it, and it destroys you over time. It's literally bad for you, but it tastes great. The broccoli is boring. You don't want to eat it, but you know if you eat it over time, it's good for you and it's healthy, but it's boring and you feel gross wanting to eat that. So I try to teach guys you want to be the broccoli that tastes like ice cream.
Is it possible is it really possible to teach this invisible nice man to be different? Because I think the bad boys or bad guys, they really born like this. It's natural quality to appeal and don't care about other people. And there are a lot of these trainings right now about self-confidence and personal borders and all this stuff. But most people, if they go to training, they excited in this moment, but then they go out, they forget all the skills and return to their routine back. So, and with men, it's even more complicated because it's not about getting a job. It's about getting girls.
Yeah.
How do you start with boys? What's the first thing you do with them?
All right. So you asked two questions there. So I'm going to answer your first. I'm going to answer your first one, and it was a really good question. You brought up a good point. Some guys are just born like that. So how can a guy become that? Because most guys who are bad boys are born like that. So I'd like to equate that. You actually said a little later. You answered your own question. You said, there's a skill. How do they get the skill up? They'll just lose that skill or whatever. Charisma, knowing how to talk to women, attraction is a skill. Just like with acting, like famous movie stars, some of them are just born talented. They're fantastic actors right from birth. Some are just star basketball players right from birth. Other people have to work really hard to become skilled. So while you've got bad boys out there who are naturally like that, you can train a nice guy on how to have more bad boy characteristics. It is a skill that can be learned and can be near perfected if you really, really work hard at it. So that's what I have to say about that.
Mhm.
Yeah, you were going to say something?
Yes, but say about the skills. To get these skills, it's a lot of about reading people, about scanning people, because
Mm-hmm.
especially women, women understand each other very well because we are all crazy in our own way. But for men, especially for these good guys
You said it, not me.
yeah, who used to be pleased, who used to please women, they have really to be very analytic to understand what women really want.
Yes, and I agree with you. So there's two ways that I go about coaching a guy. I'm much more of a tactician. So if I have a guy who already comes pre-programmed with positive belief sets, I can just teach them tactics and that will be enough for them. But a lot of guys have been nice guys their entire lives. They were maybe raised by a single mother who taught them to be super nice to women and supplicate to them and put them on a pedestal. So they've been programmed since they were really little to always put women above them, which is terribly unattractive to most women. Despite what most women say, they say they want a guy to be really nice to them and they like it when a guy treats them like a princess, but they don't sleep with those guys. They don't date those guys. They'll maybe go on a date with them and use them for dinner and never see him again to get the validation, but that's ultimately not what guys want. They want to maintain a relationship with a woman. They don't want to see her and never go on a date and then never see her again. So we have to actually work on the belief systems and change his belief systems, help him view the world in a way that is more conducive to him having success with women. So I'll give you a really good example. Let's start with that. Women are sweet and spice and everything nice, and they're absolutely flawless, and they're innocent and they're sweet. All right? That's, you and I both know that's not true at all. Women can be super sweet and wonderful and amazing, but they can also be vicious. And they can rip your heart out of your chest, bleeding and swallowing it whole and laugh while they do it. Not all of them, but all of them are capable of it. Yeah. Not on just, and you could say the same for guys. I don't want to be called a misogynist here. Not every guy is going to protect you and be wonderful and loyal. Some guys are just pieces of crap. And everybody, it's like they're human beings just like everybody else, all right? Women and men are human beings with their flaws, their intricacies. Some are more evil than others. So that's the first thing that you have to teach them is that, yes, some of them are not good, and you have to seek that out, and you have to screen for that, right? You have to screen for that. And that's part of the dating process. When most nice guys go in, they already see an idealistic version of this woman that they don't know. And they see her sugar and spice and everything nice, treat her like a princess, put her on a pedestal. But she hasn't earned that yet. Why does she deserve that just because she's a woman? Yeah, you need to give her a certain amount of respect, just like you would anybody else. You treat them like a human being with a certain level of decency. But she doesn't deserve to be pedestalized until she's pedestalized you. If you treat a woman like a queen, she will treat you like a peasant. But if she treats you like a king and acknowledges that you're a king, then you can treat her as your queen. And that wanting to be treated that way, it's fine if you treat a woman like a queen once she acknowledges you as the king. A woman cannot feel sexually aroused of a man they perceive as below them, right? So you don't want to be seen as a peasant. She has to earn that right to be treated extra special. Treat her with respect. Don't be a jerk like the bad boys do, but don't supplicate to her. You understand?
Absolutely, absolutely. I always, because I communicate a lot with women, and for me, it's really, I don't understand it because they want to have this alpha man, alpha guy, this leading position, strong, knowing, achieving, this, so.
Yeah.
And on the other hand, they want that he discuss everything with her, that he shows a lot of understanding, and he's nice, and he's gentle and romantic. I said, so if you think about this big business man, I really cannot imagine them coming home and saying, "Oh, my love, I am going to discuss every." So the person who was born as a leader, I'm quite sure that coming home, he's still a leader. He will not do what she wants.
Okay, Ksenia, there we go.
Yeah, but it is, and I always try to explain to women this. If you want a strong personality, so it means you have to take this weak part, you have to follow him, and not that you take, I don't know, Elon Musk and say him where to go. It's very unlikely he will follow you because he lives in his own world, or other big names.
I think that when women really want something from a guy and they're not getting it, they tend to be more attracted to him. So in order for him to for her to desire pursuing him, there has to be an element of effort to try to get him to be vulnerable and show that kind of like ultra affection where he's just like super swooned. It's that idea of turning him into that that's so validating to a woman that causes her to want to chase that. But yeah, they're right. Obviously, the issue is if she ever turns him into that, which a lot of women do over the course of a long marriage, if women turn him into that, looking for the next guy she can try to conquer and tame.
She destroys him. And we can do it because we have natural talent to destroy men. We have this.
Yeah. So
yeah, absolutely. I always say to women, we have this gene of destroying men. We can do it. Okay. It's so simple. Generally, it's very simple.
You could put it that way. The way I like to put it, and to a degree, I don't disagree with you. The only thing I would add as a caveat, not all women are trying consciously to destroy a man. They're going with an emotion and following that emotion. It's kind of like saying, oh, like all people want to get fat. No, they just want to eat the ice cream every single day. They want to eat the ice cream, right? It's like biological hardwiring. And that's why as a man, as a strong man in that woman's life, you always have to maintain your masculine frame, which is being the leader, being dominant in your relationship, being the one to make decisions and guiding and leading. And you can't be that super soft. You can't be showing weakness to your women. It's okay to be vulnerable, but not in a way where you're emotionally breaking down, you know, to the point where she can't feel like she can trust you. She can't lean on you as the rock in her life. Women who tend to be more feminine, the feminine energy, which most men really do like feminine women like a guy who's very rock solid and grounded and isn't all over the place with his emotions. But the feminine woman can be, and she tends to gravitate to more masculine men who are chill and calm and cool and easygoing and doesn't go crazy, because that helps bring stability into her emotions. Women are very attracted to that. If the guy's more emotional than her, she can't respect him.
Is it possible from your experience, if you have a client who is very emotional, who is crying, seeing little dog on the street or watching nice movies, see he's really very emotional. Is it possible to change him and make him, let's say, colder?
So it's interesting that you say that. Being an emotional guy, there's a caveat to that, okay? Being an emotional guy is not always an unattractive thing. Guys who are very emotional and still get away with it and get attraction from women can do that despite it because of other qualities about them that make them attractive. So for example, I have a friend, he breaks down a lot. His girlfriend is absolutely crazy about him, but he's so charismatic and he can make women feel so related to him and really flirt and build up emotions. He reminds me a lot of Russell Brand. If you know who that is, it's the comedian. He's like just a natural flirt. But he can get very emotional too. But the thing is that the guy is just a raging player. Women love to flirt with him. So his woman knows that if she ever messed around or she ever like lost his interest, he could replace her like that. I know it's messed up to say that, but that sort of fear there, if she sees him breaking down over a puppy or something like that, there's still that to balance it. The guy's a bad boy. The guy's a badass, but at the same time, he's actually very sensitive. So you can get away with certain behaviors that may be deemed as unattractive. I always like to say to guys that being a nice person or being sweet to a woman is not inherently unattractive. It's only unattractive if that's all you do and you lead with that to attract women. So if she already sees you as a badass, if she already sees you as the kind of guy who, if you were out in the street and two guys walk up trying to rob you or God forbid do something, that you'd be the first one to choke them out or punch them or do something about it. She knows that she's safe with you, and then you're sweet to her despite the fact that you're like that. That actually means something. That sweetness means something. It's just that most guys lead with the sweetness. The sweetness is there to round out the edges in an already badass persona if you're able to create one.
I remember one story. I had something like a double date, to men to women, and there was normal question: what are you expecting from your future partner? And one woman said, like you said, so if I go out with my partner and so if somebody tries to steal something, my partner should protect me. But the question was, the problem was that this woman was bigger and taller than two men who won this double date. She was really big and very bright shoulders. It's like a professional sport woman, and something like hearing from her or listening from her that she would like to be protected. So it's really a natural instinct, and I think part of this man attraction is really showing not only moral strength but even this ability to protect in case of something happening.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. And in fact, if my friend continues to break down a lot, and he shows an inability to maintain emotions when it really matters, she might actually leave him. If he's breaking down over a cute little puppy, right? Or she does something really thoughtful and really sweet, and that's when he cries. That is not as bad as him breaking down and crying when two guys are being threatening, or when they're in an atmosphere and he's showing fear and he's showing like super scared. That's a completely different story, because that it's true. Women really need to feel secure and protected.
And
It's innate.
yes,
Sorry.
yes, it's really interesting because we live in quite secure society in most countries. It's
Mm-hmm.
if you go on the street, nothing will happen to you unless you go late in the evening drunk and in short skirt. But generally, it's safe. But still this expectation that if something is going wrong, my partner is able to protect me, physically protect me, like my safeguard. It's really inside, it's really expectation, I think, by all women. I always say all women, they are inside pink little princesses. Doesn't matter how old, how big, how huge women are. It's always this feeling being little princess, and the man should accept and respect it and understand our vulnerable soul. So complicated with us women.
Well, it's biological. It's biologically hardwired. The way women are attracted to men for their survival qualities is the same way that men are attracted to women for their replication qualities, for their ability to reproduce. The same way we are always going to be attracted to a woman with an hourglass figure who's beautiful. All guys are going to feel that way. At least straight guys will. This is the same way a woman feels when she's with a guy she feels can be protective, who can provide security, who can provide support. That we've leaned on each other throughout our entire history, through our evolutionary history for that. Just because we've been in an industrialized, civilized society for the past 100 years doesn't negate the millions of years of evolution that we've hardwired to want these things from each other. It's always going to be there, no matter what feminism says, or feminists will tell you, oh, I can take care of myself. Sure, you can take care of yourself, but do you desire that from your man? You know what I mean? You want a man to be able to protect you. Women desire a guy who's taller than them, who's stronger than them, who makes more money than them. Even your career women who are super feminists still desire a man who makes as much, if not more, than they do, because it's biologically hardwired.
Even if it's very complicated, I know from many of our colleagues, if they have very successful women, and these very successful women who own a lot of business and they have a lot of money, they still would like to find somebody who is a little bit higher than they are.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Even if it's sometimes not possible. I had one conversation with one woman, and she said, I would like him to earn more than I. And I said, you know what? Let's imagine he earns 1,000 € less a month than you. Is it really big deal? Is it really big difference? And in her head, she started really thinking about, is it really big difference, 1,000 more, 1,000 less? It will not decide anything. But this idea about having somebody who's stronger, bigger, taller, richer, it's really destructive moment for a relationship, I think.
Yeah, it is. It is kind of sad too, because I don't think there's anything wrong with a woman wanting someone who's better than they are. It's just I see it as naturally hardwired into them. But it is kind of sad when, as a woman becomes more and more successful with her career, she actually limits her options, while a guy who becomes very successful increases his options because he doesn't care how much a woman makes. He just wants a woman who's pretty, who's nice to him, that brings him peace. His standards are very simple. Women's standards are much, much harder to acquire.
In the last days, I had a couple of conversations about man role in the modern society, and many people think that it's more complicated for men than for women now, because women getting stronger and stronger, more successful and more successful, but men, they really lose their protective role. because safe society, they are not always earner in the family, because sometimes their salary is less than by women, and women can really survive without men. And it's really, men needs more help now than women, because they have to find their other role in this society we created with Me Too and all other movements.
Yeah, it's true. It's complicated because men really haven't changed much. Men still desire the same things, and men really haven't changed at all. It's really the women that have changed, and their expectations and what they want, and also their upbringing have changed a lot of things. That's why you have completely different value systems in different countries. But if you take a sample size of men from every different country, they're all probably going to be looking for the same thing. But women will say one thing and totally do another. You'll see a woman that says, "I want a guy who's nice and isn't intimidated by me or whatever," but she's not attracted to most of the guys that could be potential great suitors for her. But if she was making $50,000 less, she might even be open to it. So their attraction can go all over the place depending on where they're in. I always like to say this to guys because guys get very intimidated by this. It's true that women tend to, not all, tend to have a laundry list of requirements that they look for in a relationship. But if you're the guy that can make her feel a little something, if you're that one special guy that can tickle her just a little bit where it counts, that list goes right out the window. That's why you see women dating criminals, scumbags, guys that fraud people, guys that are like drug dealers that still live with their mothers. I see this. When I used to live in Miami, I used to see this all the time. It's insane. That's because these guys are bad boys and they knew how to make these women feel a certain type of way. Super high powered women who would literally have them come into their house and have them live in their house. Women who are otherwise brilliant and intelligent and super on point, but with the guy, they're just totally weak. Kind of like that woman in Casino, if you remember that woman in Casino who was dating that dirtbag. There are situations like that where the guy obviously does not make much money, but psychologically he dominates her, not with financial. It's all about what's going on in the head, and if you can make her feel attraction. That's a very powerful skill. So I always tell guys the 4 things that make a man attractive is looks, money, status, but most importantly, game. Game trumps all of that. If you don't have game, then you could be like that super high football player, basketball star, or actor who gets a divorce after 5 years and has half of his stuff taken away from him. Let's take Bill Gates, for example, one of the richest men in the world. He got half of his stuff taken away from him. You got the guy from Amazon, also got a divorce, half his stuff taken away from him. He's not able to maintain the relationship. So it doesn't matter. You can have all the power in the world, but if you don't have your game right and you're not able to maintain that attraction, she's going to leave you. She's going to try to seek something better than you.
Agree. I wanted to ask you something, but it was so interesting that I listened and I forgot.
Happens from time to time. Sorry.
Yes, I forgot to make notes. It's really interesting. It's a really interesting thing about the list. I want to say about the list. You're absolutely right, because part of my coaching with women, I ask them to write these qualities that can make you happier. Women don't listen this make you happier, and they start writing the list of qualities they want to get from American films. So I always have big issues with Hollywood films, because it started, I want a guy with big house, like Home Alone, this huge house. Only a father is working, thousands of children running around, and they can allow to fly to Paris with all children, and only a father is working. American dream. So women write this list, and I always say, okay, can this house really make you happy? Have you ever lived in the house? Do you know how much does it cost to maintain the house? And sometimes it's house on the sea coast. So it should be even seaside. I say, do you imagine this humidity living close to the sea, and tourists or mosquitoes? I don't know. Can you imagine? Your house is nice, but it's a lot of work. And they start thinking, but you're absolutely right, that if they meet their right guy for them, they forget about all their list, about all expectation. They forget everything and only instinctively running like butterfly to the light.
Yes.
So sometimes I am the one, stop, don't do it. Don't do it. I don't allow it.
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes I feel like when you're doing that kind of coaching with women, it's very, very difficult because they do make these decisions based on the emotions that they're feeling, and you're trying to rationalize, hey, don't be attracted to this, be attracted to that. What I like to tell women, because I understand it'd be like telling a guy, oh, you shouldn't be attracted to women with large breasts. It's like it's silly to say that. It's biological. So what I tell women is this: when they can't get what they're looking for, you got two options. All right. If you're welcome to want whatever kind of guy you want, right? But you have two choices if you can't get that kind of guy. If you're not able to obtain that and you're having trouble with that. One is you got to lower your standards because you clearly don't have what that guy wants. If you did, you'd probably be seeking you out. And just because a guy wants to sleep with you doesn't mean that he wants to be in a relationship with you. So you need to make your standards more reasonable. Or the other thing you got to do is self-improve to be the kind of woman that guy wants. Because Guess what? If you want that guy, other women want that guy, because most women really desire a very small subset of guys, top 20, top 10, sometimes even top 1% of guys. Those guys have their choice of as many women as they want, including younger, prettier, more sweet, nice, who can cook, and whatever it is, whatever these guys are looking for. So if you're coming in there with masculine qualities, well, I'm strong and independent and I make a lot of money, guys don't really care about that. I mean, most guys, they want a woman who's not going to be lazy and sitting around doing absolutely nothing. But like he's not going to care. If you're extremely sweet and you're loyal and you're a wonderful woman and you work at Walmart, he'll still date you. Most of them, obviously not all. Some guys want an educated woman, but even if she's an educated woman working as a social worker, if she's a wonderful human being and sweet and just loves being in her company, he's going to wind up marrying her over the woman that's making 250K, because men don't care about a woman's salary, typically speaking. In fact, I would say it's a red flag if a guy cares a lot about his salary, because generally speaking, he's looking to try to get some money from you. I'd see that as a red flag. That's not a normal thing for a guy.
You know what I noticed, and I had some conversation with girls. Many men, really many or most men, they have no idea, they have no strategy how to search and what to do in their dating life. So what they do, they start communicating with women like with men, and it means first question, second question on the date or in their correspondence, what is your job? And for women, it's something, why he's asking about my work? What does he want from me? But I always have to explain it's lack of communication skill, because he used to talk to men. He has no idea that, so talking to women, you have to ask about, your hobbies, about your life, showing interest, offering help. It's not about what did you achieve? What is your job?
Yeah.
What is your position in the life? Yeah.
Yeah, that's because she's putting a female lens on the guy. Guys don't think the same way. I totally agree with you, Cassandra. Most guys don't really know how to talk to women. I agree with you. That's why there's even people like me that exist that teach this stuff.
Yes, and the more we develop, the more society develops, the more such people like you necessary for society to help men. Because in your boys' world, to ask for help, it's something like to accept I'm loser.
Oh
So
yeah, I mean both need help. Nobody is really taught this. We don't really have a culture that teaches it. We mostly have a culture of being really independent, but not being interdependent. We don't learn social skills as well. Definitely don't learn relationship skills as well. Especially in my country, most people are coming from broken homes, which is really, really sad. The first relationship that you develop is the one with your father or your mother, and that really guides the path of how your relationships are going to be in the future. Most people really do need help, and I would even say most people at least need some therapy too.
Most people really.
It's a really broken culture. It's very sad, in my opinion.
But it's not only in your culture, because just imagine how quick we develop all these technologies. So 20 years ago, there were no mobile phones. Internet came to Russia in 1998. I was one of the first who got email address, and I was so proud of me. Even I had nobody to write to, but still the fact that I have something, and this connecting to modem, it was amazing. Like you are connected to the world, and only 20 years. And our smartphones is getting bigger and bigger, and our children, they can do things we we still cannot do.
Yeah.
So it means it's very quick for our brains, and now artificial intelligence is part of this development. What's really scaring me.
Isn't that scary? Kind of freaks me out too. I mean, wow. Wow. It's getting really good and very, very believable.
Yeah, but it for me it's like Terminator, Sky. What's the name of this company? Sky something.
Skynet, yeah.
Skynet. It's for me it's a big computer conducting our life. Oh, it freaks me out. Yeah, and it means we developing with society, with people, we develop too fast, too quick, and we cannot get used to it. So it means I agree with you that probably everybody needs coaching or help, mental help, how to cope all this. Because so we had 2 years COVID, we had political troubles
Yeah.
for the last year. Now artificial intelligence, that it means many people will lose their jobs. So it means we will have to use to other reality where many people cannot work anymore because ChatGPT, and you can get everything out of it.
Yeah. Wow. I
Yeah.
mean, what you're saying is why I push guys to do cold approach. Cold approach will always be king. Yeah, if you go online, you can meet women on like an online dating app or whatever. But I always say, if you're like an average looking guy, you're gonna have a lot of tough time on that dating app because women are only right swiping 3 to 5% of the guys on those things. And if you're not a really good looking guy, you're gonna have trouble. But if you're an average looking guy and you can use your personality when you're doing cold approach. So if you're going to like actual community events, or you're going dancing with folks, or you're going to festivals, or even out in the street, you're more likely going to make something happen with a woman who is a higher quality, at least in terms of looks, than you would online. That's my opinion. I stick by that for sure.
Absolutely. I had conversation with one client from me. He's from Switzerland. Switzerland is always, high level and very good looking. And
Hmm.
he said to get one coffee date, he has to start writing with 100 women. So out of 100 women, he can get only one girl if even he is good looking and handsome and very rich in Switzerland and so on and so on and so on. So it means normal looking or bad looking guys, they have to start, I don't know, with thousands just to get one coffee date.
Yeah, yeah, it's true. I mean, even if you're doing in-person stuff, you're still going to have to do a lot of cold approaches because you don't know if she's single, you don't know if she's not attracted to you, you don't know if she's open to dating somebody. So you're still going to have to go through numbers as well. But the cool thing about doing it in person is that there's no way they can lie to you. There's no filters. You see them in person. You get a general sense of chemistry with them. If it goes well, you can do an instant date right on the spot, which is absolutely wonderful. It's much easier to make a connection when you're in person, and you can utilize many more things besides photos to build attraction with women. That's the advantage of the infield and the in-person stuff.
But if we're talking about nice guys without a lot of experience in communication, with lack of communication skills, they go to the normal dates, they go to the real life, and they will face a lot of rejections.
Oh, a lot. And even if they're really good, they'll still face a lot of rejections. If you get really good at this, you are still getting rejected far more often than not. And the thing about being a strong guy that's attractive to women is being able to handle that. The player, the bad boy, when a woman rejects him, you know what he usually says? Oh,
But
she was a anyway, or oh, she's probably a lesbian. Something like that. He never takes it personally. He's just like, oh, whatever. She's a whatever. And he moves on. But I don't want to train them to be jerks like that. Just say, okay, so you're not her cup of tea. That's fine. She just screened herself out. It has nothing to do with you. Some people don't like hamburgers. Some people are vegetarians. Some people don't like to drink red wine and prefer not drinking at all. It's got nothing to do with you. She doesn't know you. All she knows is what you're presenting. You're offering what you are presenting. Your game is your marketing. Maybe your marketing sucked, but it's got nothing to do with you. Or maybe, who knows? Maybe you are too short for her and she only dates guys that are 6'5". You don't know what crazy thing she has listed on her standards. You don't know. Don't take it personally. That's why you talk to lots of women. That's what players do, is they talk to lots of women. So do what
yeah,
they do.
I heard advice from one German coach. He said, go on the street and start talking to old women. they're not dangerous. Start with old women.
Got to practice somewhere, right?
Yeah. To get some answers, something like, to go into habit to talk to people, to start talking to people on the street, then younger women, then more attractive, then more something like.
Sure. I mean, whatever gets you out of the house and practicing, go to the bouncers and bartenders or people that work at stores because they're paid to be nice to you. You start easy, start with stuff that you can actually do. If you're actually wanting to go out and work on your social skill and your approach anxiety, yes, you start with easy tasks that you can do and work your way up to maybe more of the direct approaches where you actually walk up to a girl and tell her you think she's cute and you want to meet her real quick.
Have you had a situation where you give all your knowledge and all your tools, but it didn't work?
Yeah, of course. Of course. And the reason why is because not every woman is going to like you. There's always an element of chance. It's like learning poker, right? You could be the greatest player in the world, but if you go all in on those pocket aces against a 7-2 offsuit, that guy could pull 3 sevens on the turn and the flop and the turn, and then you lose. Even though odds are in your favor, there's always going to be an element of random chance. You can't mind control women. The best you can do is put the best version of yourself forward, offer the best version of yourself, put it in front of her, and if she likes it, great. If she doesn't, she doesn't. It's got nothing to do with you. Like I said, some people have different tastes, and that's okay. That's a part of the screening process. You just have fun in the meantime.
But so I think this virtual world, especially this pandemic and sitting 2 years at home, so people really put too much attention or believe too much in these written words. Because it was, for 2 years, it was more this writing, Tinder or all other dating apps. And people really believe that if she said no, or if he said no, or if she promised something, or if he promised something, it's already real life. And always forget that we don't know what this person meant when he wrote the message to you. It's you have to meet, like you said, you have to meet in person and check if there is chemistry or if there is something between these two people.
Oh yeah, talk is cheap, and talk can always change once you two meet as well.
To say also talk is cheap, but the really interesting thing, I have women, and not quite many. I know quite many women. They started writing on different dating apps, and it was communication without seeing each other. He made a marriage proposal. She agreed, and she flew to him already with her marriage documents for the first date. First date already with bride.
She said yes.
Yeah, she said yes, and she was really because she believed so much, or these women, they believed so much in this words, in these promises, that they are really ready to share their lives with person they've never met. It's mental.
And that's what I tell guys, man. If you know how to tickle them just right, man, that list goes right out the window. They barely even need to know you. If you make them feel attraction, they'll do all kinds of crazy things. Women will crawl on their arms and their legs through glass for the right guy.
Yes.
Some women have never met that guy. I will agree to that. But if you can you have the potential to make a woman do that if you can make her feel enough attraction.
Yes. What is your recommendation? For example, if you got a new client, and so you can see he's a nice guy, and it's a lot of work in front of you, but he says, Dan, I would like to meet somebody who is 20, 25, 30 years younger than me.
I would tell him to go to a foreign country. I'd tell him to go to Thailand, somewhere in Eastern Europe, or Colombia. That's what I'd say. I'd say good luck finding that in the United States.
Yeah.
I mean, look, is it possible you can find someone in the US? Sure. But yeah, it's also possible for you to buy a lottery ticket and win. Go somewhere where it's more likely you increase your odds. Like I said, even with poker, you could be the greatest card player in the world, but you should pick proper hands. Ones where you at least have a better shot of having that happen. And even in these foreign countries, it's not like they don't also want the same things that American women do. Maybe their standards are a bit more reasonable. That's all. It's a different culture, it's a different tradition, but they still want to feel like they're with a guy who can protect and provide for them. They still want to feel like they're with a guy who's better than them in lots of different ways so they can look up to him. You still have to be attractive. If you're some fat piece of, I don't know if I can curse. If you're like a big fat pig, right? Or you're super unattractive, yeah, sure. Maybe you could get a woman who's 20, 30 years younger than you, but she's not actually attracted to you. She's just using you.
Just to change your life and make your life a little bit better. Yes.
Right. And I always say like there's two reasons why a woman will hook up with you. One is because you provide some form of utility for her. Not that she's actually attracted to you. Women will marry guys they don't even like because they provide utility to them, right? And the other reason is for validation. She feels that if she sleeps with you, that validates her, which means she's very attracted to you. And if you're not the second reason, then you're the first reason. Right? And it's very important for a guy to understand that. Does she genuinely like you, or does she like what you can do for her? And if you're that guy who she likes what you do for her, that is not going to be a very loyal woman, because as soon as she finds a better opportunity, she's going to bounce.
Yeah, and you're right. So we women, we have some ability. We can convince ourselves to stay with him because we see our advantage of this relationship. He is a good father. This.
Yeah.
I have recorded interview with one Russian psychologist. She works with abusive relationship, and
Mhm.
she said she has clients who cannot go away from these abusive husbands for years. So they understand what's going on. They understand that it's absolutely wrong. They understand that they destroy their life and life of their children, but just
Yep.
because of this financial, economical, and so on situation, they cannot change. They cannot rescue themselves and their children. They have to stay in this relationship for years.
Oh yeah, I know women like that as well. I also know women who are so attracted to a guy like that but won't leave him. So she could stay with a guy like that for either reason, whether it's for functional or for because she's super into the guy. I've seen the same thing. Some women are actually attracted to men that abuse them. This actually happens. Like she doesn't feel she deserves better, and it's congruent with her reality that she feels she deserves it, which is usually from women with extremely low self-esteem. It's very sad, like codependence. They'd be very attracted to men like that. It's almost like they seek that out, which of course they're not seeking it out, but they go towards that. And you'll even see men doing the same thing. They're so attracted to the woman that they're willing to put up with so much crap. It's like, oh, if I don't stay with her, I'll never get another girl. I don't want to be single again. I don't know the next time I'm going to meet a woman again. If you feel like that at any point in your relationship, your woman is not going to be attracted to you. If she feels that coming from you, you've already lost. Forget about it. You're going to be single regardless. If you're not willing to walk away from a woman that doesn't treat you right, she's never going to treat you right. That's why she doesn't treat you right. It's because she knows that you're going to walk away. I think that women inherently are disgusted by weak men. When they see weakness in men, it turns them off so much they have contempt for men like that. And I think that a lot of the reason why women are abusive to a guy in a relationship is because the guy is unwilling to walk away when it happens.
I agree absolutely, and I heard even such example. If a woman feels the weakness, so it's something like the castle wall, and we try to destroy it and go into this hole deeper and deeper. So it means. In the moment you feel she's trying to destroy or make you weaker, you have to stop. It's like personal borders. It's about.
I call that testing.
Yes,
It's
yeah,
called
because
shit testing.
yes, I like this. Yes, but we constantly do, and if you get confirmation, he's still stronger than me. So, woman, know you, woman, know your place. If it's like with fist on the table, woman, yes, woman, know your place. It's in good way. I don't mean it, of course. I don't see.
I'll
I
explain why women do that when you're finished. So go, yeah, go ahead.
okay. So nobody can hear it. It's our secret.
No, well, guys
But
know what it
but
feels like to get shit tested, but I'm going to tell guys why they do it.
we all do it
Yeah,
unconscious.
no, all women are going to do it at some point. Absolutely. I don't see it as an evil thing though. Like I don't have contempt for that. I just know it's biological. When you understand it's just a part of female nature, you're no longer mad at it. You just expect it to happen at some point. It's nothing personal. It's just something they do. Just like if you see a guy staring at you have a man who says he's in love with you, and then you catch him checking out a woman walking by, you shouldn't take that personally. He's always going to feel like that. No matter how much he loves you, he's always going to want to sleep with other women. He's literally choosing to stop his natural instincts to want to sleep with lots of women to just be with you. You should be glad that he's just with you. But anyway, I digress. The reason why women do that is because it's a natural way for women to see if she's still with a guy who can protect her. If our female ancestors did not shit test the men that they were with, they got eaten by the saber-toothed tiger. They got taken away by the warring tribe that came in and conquered. They want to make sure that they're still with a guy who can protect them from the saber-toothed tiger. It's naturally hardwired. Our female ancestors did that, and the ones that did that survived and reproduced. The ones that didn't died off. That's why that happened.
Absolutely. And about this being in relationship and looking to other women, we say in Russian, so if I eat at home, I can read the menu.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, I would tell guys, don't obviously stare at women in front of your girl. It's not a very nice thing to do.
It's
but
not...
like a quick glance, quick glance. Let them do a quick glance at least.
But again, this looking at other women, if it's not really very creepy, it can be a little bit test a woman, because if she is not secure and she's can get jealous very quick, so it will be really, he looks at other women, she will exploit, where is her weakness. It's a little bit testing is not bad as well.
I don't think most men test women. I don't think most men do it. I don't think they're socially intelligent enough to do that. It's usually women that are really doing most of the testing. Most men are not socially intelligent enough. I agree some men do test, but those are a minority of men. Those are guys that have a very high EQ, high like emotional intelligence. Most men don't test. In fact, most men should test, because you want to make sure if you're with a woman, that she's first of all, she's with you because she actually genuinely does think you are the best she can do. But the other thing is you want to make sure she's going to be loyal to you. Especially if you're going to get married, God forbid. I mean, you get married, you want to make sure she's going to stay with you. You got a lot of risk getting married to women nowadays. You got to make sure you pick the right woman.
Agree, and I think nice tasting. It's not a bad thing, because if you are going to spend all your time or rest of your life together with somebody, you really have to know that this person is reliable enough to spend all these years with him.
Well, I always like to tell people, before you choose a long-term partner, you never really know someone until you piss them off.
No, I say it different. I say you never know the person until you get divorced.
Sure. Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. When you piss that person off, you're going to get to see how they handle conflict resolution. You're going to see how they carry themselves when they are feeling angry. That person that you're seeing when they're angry, that's the same person you're going to wind up getting a divorce with. So God forbid, if the worst case scenario happens, how does he or she handle it? Does he or she act like an adult and want to make the conflict happen? If that person does not get their way, do they get resentful, spiteful, bitter, try to get revenge on you, try to upset you, try to make you jealous? That's the person you're going to see when you get a divorce, but worse.
Yes, and divorce, it means talking about children, talking about money, sharing, lawyers, solicitors, and so on. It's even worse. And you always think you live with one person, but their real face you see only in the court,
That's right. If that person is so mad at you, but is still maintaining composure and trying to be civil with you when they're really upset with you, that's a good pick. That's a good pick.
Yeah, absolutely. And one other example I quite often use, because especially women or some men, they are in habit to talk about long life relationship. It's nice to think, but I always say, just think that, right approach is all relationship will end one day. Somebody of us will die, or we'll go apart. So it means we live now, we live today, we enjoy what's happening today, and we don't plan in 20 years what will happen with us. all relationships are limited.
Yeah, I agree with you. And just because a relationship ends doesn't mean it was a failure. As long as you got valuable lessons from it or it provided you a higher quality of life, then that doesn't make it a failure anymore.
I heard another, today's interview of sayings. I heard one saying, there is no such thing as fail is feedback.
Oh, yeah, I like that.
Very nice. Yeah, it was business approach for, it's not a fail, it's
Oh,
feedback.
yeah, failure is a part of the learning process. It's just like if you go and approach a woman on the street and she rejects you, that doesn't mean your life is over. Just go on to the next one and you learn something from that.
Yeah. And couple of days ago, I heard from somebody, it was again about nice guys, because women, is a natural reaction. We react on these bad guys because bad guys, they don't care. So it's he's confident, doesn't matter what's happening, because he maybe inside he doesn't respect women so much. So that's why it's next one. It's not so important, but women probably should pay more attention for men who go for the first day and got lost. They don't know what to say, something like this natural reaction, because he likes her so much. And just because he lost all his confidence, control, and forgot how to speak the language, maybe this is the right one because he really cares. But
Like,
it doesn't
like I
work like.
said, that's like telling a guy to not be attracted to big boobs. It's like you should. It's the same. They're going to be hardwired to be unattracted to a guy that like can't speak right. The only time a woman would find that like not even attractive, but she would like that and not have it mess up attraction if it was a celebrity doing that. If she already perceives the guy as above her and she's already attracted to him and then he's like flabbergasted, then that would mean something and that actually wouldn't damage his chances. In fact, that would increase his chances because she may find that that guy is out of her league, but because he was so nervous around her and she's so shocked that that happened, now she's like super into it. That's the only time a guy can get away with that. That's why I tell nice guys, you lead with building attraction first, and then all the nice things you do later can follow up with that. You do that to round out the edges.
I agree. Absolutely
Yeah.
agree. Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's why we come go back to the where we started. So it's really a lot of training, a lot of skills, really a lot of maintaining, refurbishment. I don't know. It's also changing to become better version of yourself. We all do it.
Yeah, well, it's a skill set. It's a way of talking. It's sort of like when you learn how to give a speech. It's different than if you were just going to have a normal conversation.
Yeah.
Going on a date and having flirtatious banter is a skill and it is a different form of communication, almost like learning a new language.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Or planning some scripts for something. It's also different. It was one of the things I had to learn how to tell what I want to tell in short form because of TikTok and so on. It's 1 minute, 2 minutes. How can I squeeze all what I want to say in 2 minutes? Should I speak quick? It's a skill, you learn it if you train it, if you use it.
Duh.
My last question. I really like talking to you. We can continue our conversation in
I
Cancun.
love talking to you, Ksenia,
Yes, I
always.
know. Do you personally prefer to work in the groups or with individuals?
Individuals.
Really? Why?
Yes, because everybody has unique sticking points and everybody is at a different skill level. So let's say, for example, if I take a guy out in the field, like actual real world, to have him talk to women, if I've got two different guys who don't know each other, if I got one guy who can't even approach a single person, and then I got another guy who's approaching everybody, but being way too crazy and sometimes scaring women, I'm going to have a lot of trouble working with both of them because they're completely different skill sets. I'm not going to be able to give attention properly to the two of them. When I'm working with just one person, I could really hone in and focus on that person. Now, I wouldn't mind working or coaching one person and having other people watch as a teaching tool. I'd do that. But if I'm trying to help someone fix their communication, it's difficult to work on multiple people all at the same time.
Yes, but if you have a group, you can ask them to imagine that one is woman, one is man, and they can train their date or communication between them, between both of them. So your guys don't have to go on their hunt immediately and try to talk to women. They can train a little bit between.
Well, it's like the blind leading the blind. If they're practicing on each other, how do they know they're doing something right and wrong unless they have a coach telling them what's up? I've done workshops where I've had people together and we've done it as a mastermind thing. So I would actually hire women to come in and be like the mock date or be like the models that would talk and they'd practice on. So I would go around and give a little bit of attention to each of them to see how they're doing and sort of correct them, almost like if it was an acting class.
Yeah, and what I always do before my single events, because I provide something like webinar where I explain
Yeah,
all
you
the
told me
rules.
about this. I love it.
Yeah, but but I explain to them, so even if you will not find your special person on this meeting, you will leave the meeting as a different person, because you get really training for communication skills. A lot of people talking different languages, really 100 people, and you have to handle somehow all this communication. So it's really huge movement to be better communicator, I think. Maybe I'm wrong.
That's not what you told me that you say them. I think you said something like, "Don't be stupid. Talk to the women."
No, so sometimes it even was. Sometimes he said, "Oh, Ksenia, I like her, but I don't know what to do because she's talking to somebody else," like in kindergarten, like
Right.
sandbox.
Yeah.
He said, "Wait, okay, this woman, you can, okay, this is Maria, this is John, talk to each other." But just because they are shocked, they start talking to each other. And I always say, it doesn't matter what they are talking about, even if you gossip about me and Better Event and Better was organization, whatever, it's okay.
Yeah.
Common enemy brings people together.
Yeah. Oh man, you're great.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for amazing interview. It's really, for me, it's really fresh. Many coaches, they too gentle, really nice guys. The coaches, they are nice guys as well, so they really very careful with what's not hurting people. But you have ability, you are straightforward, but it's not offending, and not all people can do it.
I do offend some people, but it's usually it's very rarely guys that get offended. Honestly, it's usually women that get offended. I have to sugarcoat a lot more with women. I think it's because they're not used to dealing with criticism. Because when men really like a woman or they're going for a woman, they lie. They say things to gas them up and everything like that. But guys don't get complimented at all. Guys are used to getting rejected. So when you give them something straight, they don't take it personally. It's not the first time they've ever heard a criticism before. I think they can take criticism a little bit better than most women can. I'll just say they can all. Obviously, I'm working with some women that are very good at being talked to straightforward and actually thank me for it. But I've made one or two of them cry before. I mean, I don't mean to, but look, the truth is sometimes going to hurt you. If you got a broken bone and I got to set it, that's not going to feel good. But by setting it, you're going to get fixed and healed. You need to hear these things sometimes. And yes, you don't want to be super sweet to these nice guys. That's why they're nice guys in the first place. They need to toughen up. They've got to have somebody encouraging them and giving them some masculine energy. Obviously not abusing these guys or putting them down. You want to encourage them, but you can't be super sweet and avoid the things that need to be said, because as men, we have to be the strong ones. Women like us for our strength. We like women for their beauty. We have to be strong. And if I'm going to be all soft-spoken with a nice guy, I am not helping him. I'm hurting him.
A really interesting thing, because I read a lot of profiles that men fill out in my agency, and most how can I say, the quality they use most of also in their description of women, it's, I would like to meet a woman who knows what she wants. And when I read this sentence,
never met one
it's
before
quite usual
in my entire life.
Yeah, it's, we women don't, we know what we want, but it can change, depends on the time of the day, because depends on our
the time of day.
Yes, because we have our hormone changes. I don't know how many times a day, so it can change. It can be day starting with really absolutely down and then hype and then down again. We are women, so we
That's why we
really
love them so much,
yes.
because
But
they bring wonderful chaos to our lives. We
yes,
love it.
but it's really interesting thing that men, and many of them are really nice guys, because many of them go to matchmaker, to dating apps, because they couldn't meet the women in real normal life, but they expect men qualities from women. And I corrected and I talked to them, and I speak about
I'm curious, what are these qualities that they say to you?
so they expect women, this is the most popular quality. She has to know what she wants. Reliable,
Oh, God.
honest, women and honest, sorry. Uh, um, then what I always delete and have always discussion about sexual. And if they write in their profiles, I like erotic, because women there, we have allergy on these speeches. We don't want any most of it's, at least in my mentality, we don't want any sexual approach in the text. When we meet, and like you said, all our list are away if you like the guy, but if you open the profile and it's written that he's sexual and he's searching for sexy woman and he likes erotic, he's done. We are not going to continue. Most of us are not going to continue, because it's like he's searching only for sex and not relationship.
Yeah, he can only get away with that if he's 6'5", jack, tattoos, and he looks like a male model. Then he can get away with that. But if he looks like an average guy, he's not gonna get away with that. He has to make her feel attraction first before she can feel any sort of sexuality. That's what guys don't understand. We look at a woman instantly. We're like a light switch. We instantly want to sleep with them. But with women, it's more like a volume knob. We're gonna have a certain opinion about a guy or a certain feeling about a guy from the get-go, and then it can either go up or it can go down over the course of a conversation. That's why we have dates in the first place, and we don't just start in the bedroom and then get to know each other. We get to know each other first, and then if the guy if the guy gets lucky or he has game, then he can get to that point if we're just talking about sex. And I find it very interesting, those things that you pointed out that the nice guys say that they think they want in a woman. All of those are masculine traits. Isn't that interesting? I've always thought that nice guys come with a lot of feminine energy. That's why they do so poorly. And the opposite equivalent of a nice guy is like the boss babe for the woman, the career boss babe. So the nice guy is very sweet, really empathetic, wants to care, wants to like really nurture, which is things that most men are looking for in women. I think that's why nice guys are like that, because they think that that's what women are wanting, because that's what they want. And then the women come in with their career, super confident. They're showing their accolades because they think that that's what the guys want. That's not the guys want at all. It's masculine. So those two need to get together and learn from each other. That's what I think.
I think generally we have to learn from each other how to build relationships. It's always learning. But what I want to say, I even wrote it down in this our nice guy conversation. What I see very often, they communicate and they discuss their first meeting, and usually they meet somewhere in the middle in some other country, and men very often insist of booking one hotel room. Like you said, we see the women and want to sleep with them immediately. And for
Whoa.
women, wow, it's our first meeting. How are we going to sleep in the
Wow.
same room? No, wow, no, I'm not going to do it. And then, nice guy, cheeky man meet on nice women. Oh, I can tell him that I'm not going to sleep with him in one room. We don't know each other. Ksenia, how I'm going to tell it to him? Just say it.
Just say it.
Just say,
Yeah.
but it's always fear. If I say it really honestly, how I feel it, how I think it, I can lose him. And I always say, and what?
Yeah, but
And what? In this situation, if he cross all moral borders and going to sleep with you in one room as a first date, even just sleeping in one bed, it's quite it's intimacy already, to spend night even without sexual activities. But if he cross this moral border just because he paid for the journey, is he a really good candidate for family life? I doubt.
Yeah, I mean that's a lot. I mean, I understand like a lot of guys are able to do that, like are able to sleep with a woman on a first date, but to already have a hotel done and then let her know that he's got a hotel like premeditated before the date even happens, that's I'm even amazed that a guy can get away with that. I'm actually really surprised he thinks that that's going to work. That's pretty that's pretty insane. I would tell a guy if he really is trying to sleep with a woman first date, don't say that he's got a hotel room to go. If he's got to make her want it first, and then if they're like kissing and making out and stuff, who knows? Maybe he already had the hotel room, but don't say I have a hotel room ready to go for us. It should be like after the fact, like, oh yeah, I'm actually staying at this place. Why don't we go have drinks over here? I'm staying over at this hotel or something like that, and invite her over for drinks so it's less pressure, you know? Or in the moment, book a hotel room with her or something like that. I don't know, but don't make it premeditated like you're expecting it. That really turns off a lot of women, actually.
Absolutely. I have a question.
Sure.
Yes. In Russia and Ukraine, there are a lot of men coaches for women, and the approach is I, as a man, can explain to women better what men want. Okay, got it. But quite often, I heard from different coaches or psychologists, I don't know who they are, something like, if you as a woman sleep with men very quick, he will stop respecting you. Something like this next step from just coffee date to the bed. Something like in this moment, everything is happening. He will lose respect and will not respect you anymore. And some of them really give 30 hours just spending somewhere in the cinema in the park, or 10 dates spending in the cinema in the park, and not kissing, not touching, or some even say sex only after getting married, because he will lose respect to women. What do you think, you as a man, as a coach, what do you think about it?
That's a great question. When I had a YouTube channel before it got banned, I made like a 30 to 35-minute video on this topic alone because it's extremely nuanced, very nuanced.
Okay.
If I was to make a complete generalization, a man does not want to marry a promiscuous woman. Having said that, different men have different value systems. So if you've got a religious man and you've slept with one person, that's probably going to completely X you out, especially if he's a virgin waiting till marriage, right? But let's say you've got a guy who's very, very liberal minded and doesn't really care too much about it. Maybe he comes from a family where people were just doing that kind of thing. It's not a big deal, then it's probably not as big of a deal. I think that the way a woman needs to navigate something like that, if she already has a lot of experience with men, making a guy wait a really long time arbitrarily is going to come off like game playing, because he's going to know that you are applying rules to him that you didn't apply rules to other guys. If you've already slept with other men before and he knows that, you've had many boyfriends in the past, or you've had boyfriends in the past, and you're arbitrarily making him wait for some sort of rule, he's going to feel a certain type of way. He's going to stick it out probably just because he wants to sleep with you, but he's going to feel some type of way about that. So I don't think it's so much about sleeping with a guy so fast or not sleeping with a guy so fast. I think it's much more about, does he feel like when you sleep with him quickly, is it because he was special and not because you do this with every guy? Or are you holding out because that is what you do with every guy and not just with him? But you need to come off like a woman who doesn't hook up a lot. So I'll give you an example. Let's say you're with the guy, right? And you're really enjoying each other's company. You're kissing and stuff. It's the first date. And like, whatever or let's not even do the first date. Let's do like maybe the second or third. And you guys are having dinner together in your home. Maybe you guys cook together. And he starts to like make out with you, tries to sleep with you, tries to take your clothes off. The worst thing that you can do to a guy in that situation is to say something like, No, 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 not yet. Like that. Because now he knows you're playing games. He knows you're using your sexuality as a weapon to manipulate him with. Rather, if you say, I'm really, really into you, I really want to do this, but I'm really scared. I don't want to feel like you're just going to leave me after this happens. Like, if I sleep with you, that's going to make me possibly get attached. And I don't know if I'm ready for that yet. If you show some vulnerability and it looks like you're genuinely scared to do it, like you want to, but you're afraid, that is gonna lower a guy's shield. It's gonna make him melt because it's like, oh, okay, well, she's not playing games with me. All right, no, I'll be patient. I don't want, like, most guys don't want to sleep with a woman who doesn't also want to sleep with him back.
Mm-hmm.
Like starfish sex or something.
Yeah.
He wants a woman that really wants him. So under that sort of frame, a guy will be patient. However, a guy's patience doesn't last forever because if you're continually scared over and over and over again for multiple dates, that's only going to last for so long. I would say don't go on dates with guys you couldn't see a possibility of sleeping with. Like if we're just going to talk about the general public, because most women have slept with other men before. It's nobody's virgins anymore. So let's just talk about the general public. I wouldn't recommend sleeping with a guy on a first date in general. I would recommend that you want to sleep with a guy that is putting some investment in, and you're fairly certain that he's going to stick around. You're fairly certain that you two are on the same page. And I also don't recommend that you have different rules for different men because men can pick up on that, and that's going to make it's almost like women punish guys that are looking for something serious by withholding sex, and then they reward scumbags by sleeping with them quickly because they're like, oh well, this isn't going to go anywhere, I might as well sleep with them really quickly. Men are going to feel some type of way. Imagine if you buy a purse that you've always wanted, or a car that you've always wanted, right, or shoes that you've always wanted. You paid full price for it, $300, and then all of a sudden you saw at the store the next day, or maybe a newspaper ad that says 50% off the same shoe that you got. You're going to feel some type of way. You're going to want to go over there and get a refund. That's how guys feel when you sleep with scumbags really quickly, and then you make them wait because they're good guys that'll actually provide a relationship to you. So keep your standards consistent.
I like the word punishment.
That's how guys see it.
Yeah,
That's
it's
how guys
funny.
see it.
No, I give advice. Do what you really want to. If you think first date is right because you want him, he wants you, and you really feel something about this relationship, do it. If you want it, you're both adult, and nobody's virgin, like you said. But if you feel wrong, creepy, and not right, something like, it's not about just because some coach told you to wait 10 dates until you are allowed to do something, just because you want it, or you don't want it. It should be honest conversation with yourself, I think.
Yeah, well, I mean, sex shouldn't be a huge hang up. It shouldn't be like such a huge deal. I think it's okay to tell a guy like, look, I really want to do this, but I want to feel connected, and I also want to feel like you're going to stick around. I'm afraid to get attached. If you're coming from that frame, it's no longer game playing. You're actually being vulnerable. I mean, even if you're using it as a technique, it's still a very, very powerful technique. That'll buy you a few more dates.
Yeah.
And look, if he disappears, good, because he wasn't looking for something like that to begin with.
Yes. It's what I'm saying. And, okay. And if he disappears, he disappears.
He was going to anyway. And look, even with that technique, sometimes it's going to happen. Sometimes the guy's going to disappear. That's the part of life. It's always a risk.
Yeah, but nowadays we are playing all bad behavior is abusement, and all disappearing is ghosting. And sometimes people use these terms without any understanding what does it mean. They started writing, he doesn't answer anymore. Yeah, it's ghosting. I'm so hurt now because I was ghosted. Not he just disappeared because he doesn't feel right writing with you. That's all. Very simple.
Yeah, or maybe he always had a girlfriend and his girlfriend started wising up looking at his phone. You never know the reason.
Yes. Yeah. Maybe. You never know.
It's an evil world we're living in.
Absolutely. Yeah, but you have to take risk like in business. If you don't, no risk, no risk, no fun. And in Russian language, we say, "Who doesn't drink doesn't drink champagne." We have sayings for all situations. So yes.
I love it.
Yes.
Just say yes.
Yeah. just say yes, you know. So for you know, for all people who still will watch now till this moment. We had conversation, and one of my ideas about life, it's always say yes to all chances, to all proposals. You never know. If you say no, you stay at home. You will have your cat, you will have your plant, you will have, I don't know, your bike. Nothing will change. But if you say no, yes to some new chances in your life, it might change. Why not? Who knows? But
You never know.
yeah, you never know. Then thank you so much. I think we could take for next hour, but you know, so it's became very long interview. Thank you so much for this.
We'll see you, Ksenia.
Yes, absolutely. We see each other in November. See you.
На здоровье.
На здоровье. Товарищ Дэн.
Товарищ Ksenia.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Bye.
Goodbye.